All right, Troy, I spent the weekend with a lot of media executives at this retreat down in Miami. It was like kind of off the record.
These are not media executives, Brian. Sorry, I hate to break it to you. These are
what are they?
aggregators, and they're ad tech people.
No, they're not. No, it was an ad. I mean, there was a couple.
Do they make media, Brian? They don't make media, do they?
Well, executives are not making the media themselves. No. But a lot of these companies are absolutely making media. I mean, major news organizations, et cetera. So, yeah, I disagree with that.
I thought it was like Cafe Mom or whatever.
No, Raptive was the convener. They partner with publishers for sure. Interesting company. Anyway, one of the things that really stood out to me in my conversations is, man, media people have to be resilient. Like with all this AI stuff coming to every industry, I feel like other industries are like, oh no, because it was the first time they had to go into like hard mode. And anyone who's been in the media industry over the last 20 years, it's just one existential crisis after another. So I think that's actually a good benefit. But it also called to mind how, and I'm sure you've had this experience, there's a lot of people who, particularly around the Gen X age, and we talked about this a little bit last week with my designer friend who's gotten severely compressed and is applying for work at bookstores and whatnot, is a lot of people have gotten legs cut out from under them at like the wrong time in their careers. And I know like it is very fashionable to sort of, have hate for like, middle-aged men, executives in particular, but it's men and women. And I don't know, it's kind of depressing in some ways because it's not through any fault of these people, because this industry just compressed at the wrong time for them. Like it was the garage door closing on them and they weren't able to get out underneath it. And then you're in too deep. You can't switch careers, you can't go into commercial real estate. And you run into this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I want to speak for my generation, Brian.
Please do.
I mean, first, our parents abandoned us. And
latchkey generation.
I don't know where my parents were when I was growing up. They could not have given a fuck about what I was doing
playing with
school.
matches.
They left me with my really insane brothers that were like 6 years old. They just like bailed. And I was like 12 years old with my brother, who's a maniac. And
my brother once threw me into a kerosene heater.
Yeah, I remember that trip. My brother punched a staple gun in my ass. No, my brother was a maniac. He had an LSD party that weekend. It was great for me to watch at 12. Yeah, great, really great. So there was that. And then, in your prime earning years and in a time when you're senior enough to be making, more money and, kind of enjoying the fruits of climbing the ladder, the legs are cut out. And I think that, I saw this woman, it hit me today or yesterday because I saw this woman on Instagram who's gotten a little bit of attention. Her name is Stacy Duguid. And she's I don't know, I don't really know much about her background, kind of a 52-year-old media person or advertising person who took her case public. And she said, it's a really, really tough time. And I know people like this personally, so that's, I think, why I reacted to it. But she's like, you're struggling at my age with, sick parents and menopause and kids leaving the home. And now the kind of challenge of not being able to find work. And it was like a dirty secret for me. And I'm going to talk, I need to talk about it. And she's like, I've applied for dozens and dozens of jobs. And it feels like my CV just goes into the ether, and she feels tremendous shame. And I just think over the last, some 4 or 5 years, globally, the media, entertainment, and technology sectors have shed a lot of jobs, something like 1 million jobs. And to be hit in your 50s with this kind of structural change where, a younger person might be more up to speed in technology, certainly cheaper, easier to hire, more flexible, is putting a lot of pressure on older players to have to figure out essentially how to kind of eat what they kill. And I think that it's great that people are talking about it because it's a really kind of lonely place to be for a person. And I think the only way out is not isolating yourself, really becoming a doer, learning as much as you can so that you can evolve and really, talking to other people and sort of maximizing network opportunities, because you're going to have to find your own revenue. You're going to have to do the free agent thing, because maybe you'll fall into something, but I think it's going to be up to you, and people have to band together to get through it.
Yeah, and it's not structured anymore. I mean, a lot of these people, it's you follow a progression. And look, media has always been a sieve career-wise, in that, some people get through, right, the sieve. Like, I realized very early on that, at least in the journalism side, in the cubicle land, like, the profession that I was in was designed to commoditize me and replace me with someone cheaper, younger and cheaper, basically. And I said, I gotta figure out my leverage and try to avoid that from happening to me. I do not want to get compressed. I saw that very early on. And, the reality is that there is a structural compression going on, and it has hit a lot of people through, they did all the quote unquote.
Well, you saw it
things
early because you were at Adweek and you realized you needed to become a shareholder. And
well, they shrank my cubicle. You want to have a lesson when
you went, but that's the time that you were like,
shrank my cubicle.
You had to get out and partner with the other guy and start Digiday, right? Or take Digiday and grow it. And that was the move.
Well, yeah, but also, to go back to events, is to decommoditize. You have to decommoditize yourself. And if you're earlier in your career, to decommoditize it yourself, it's just absolutely critical. I mean, that's why, I think LinkedIn, I go back and forth with LinkedIn, honestly. It's very easy, and I mock LinkedIn quite a bit at the same time. There's a lot of discourse around right now, and it pops up every now and again, about the open to work banner. Okay. And yeah, I mean, I think it's like, quote unquote, cringe, right? But at the same time, I'm like, no, man, we got to take the stigma off. Like, there's a lot of people who, through no fault of their own, have to go out there and they have to hustle. And not only do they have to hustle, but they went down a path that was not the hustle path. This is not natural to people. I mean, I have a lot of sympathy for these people, because I kind of, I don't know. I've always felt like that myself in some ways, in that, like, you get forced
I can make this super personal, dude. I totally think that I do make fun of LinkedIn, and I think the open to work banner's fine. Do it. Do whatever it takes. Be completely shameless about it. But I can make it really personal, because I went through a massive career change at 50. And so, and I think I would characterize myself as being extremely adaptable. And I think in this situation, it's a great gift. And I got really, really lucky. First of all, I mean, I was a very senior person, so I had a little bit of protection there because I had some money. And I decided that after realizing that I wasn't going to find a continuation of that career path, I had to do something different. I had to spend time with different types of people. I had to learn different things, and I had to put my money to work. So I made a bunch of investments, and some of them worked out for me. And I've tried to sort of stay in the game but there's been dark days, really dark days about what is my purpose in the world? What am I doing? Why do I, what am I going to do with my time? How do I stay relevant? All of that. I mean, the only, the sort of one of the better things for me personally is I could cushion it by having, a little bit of money. And so that really,
well, that is a big upside. I'm not decrying.
But I had to figure out how to get the money, Brian.
Because emotionally, it doesn't.
Emotionally, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had good fortune on the financial side. So but I understand the pressure that these people are feeling, both emotional and financial and social. And I don't know, I'd like to figure out what it made me think is in terms of, like, for example, yesterday I got a email from a friend or a text from a friend that said, this guy is a terrific kind of product design guy. He's like 53 years old. He's like, what can you do for him? Normally I would have just said, I don't know, man, I can't help out. And now what I want to do is I want to see whatever I can do to connect this guy to the right people that I know. If there's anything I can do to help there, that's the right thing for me to be putting energy towards. So yeah, I think it's tough. And I think it lands right in the center of our industry. I can't speak to lawyers, I can't speak to bankers, but I know that structural change in media and advertising is coming fast and furious, and there are going to be a lot of displaced folks.
Well, how many reluctant consultants do you know? I mean, you call me like a reluctant capitalist. How many reluctant consultants do you know?
Lots for sure.
And that's, I think that is a symptom of what has happened in this industry. I'm wondering, I want to set up some kind of free agent, database system. I don't know, something that allows the connection. The open to work banner is not it. I know I have sympathy for it. To me, it's not that effective.
Yeah, you're talking about how do you channel the capabilities of a bunch of people through some kind of evolved job board or something into the market. It'd be great if we could help somehow.
Well, I think it's more than a job board, because I think what a lot of people are doing.
I called it an evolved job board.
Yeah.
It's just a way of helping people get connected to opportunities that where it's not going to maybe turn into a full-time job.
But I guess my one piece of advice is you have to make your opportunities at that phase. I believe that the future is not everyone, but so many people are going to have LLCs, and we're going to have LLC on LLC action. I have no full-time employees. I work with over a dozen different people, and their LLC connects with my LLC. And I just believe that is going to be increasingly the future, particularly in this industry. And you're going to have to put together a portfolio of different things. When you get to a certain level in this field, there simply aren't enough chairs out there for people. This is a really bad game of musical chairs. And so the way you get out of that is, I think, whether you like it or not, fractional is probably a large part of the future, and having more flexible arrangements.
Well, if people have thoughts, they should share them. You had brought up a couple things that I thought were kind of interesting. One was The Guardian, which is the successful charity case with a trust fund of a media company, very unique media company.
Yeah, I mean, The Guardian has done a really nice job. Definitely have a Guardian executive at the TRB Audience Summit, by the way. Yeah. They've done a really good job. They have the Scott
their content's good, right? And they're aligned with a point of view, so it helps them, get funding. But
progress.
They still lose money. Thankfully, they have a £1 billion, £1.25 billion.
Yeah, they have a trust. So that is a great model. But they're doing well in the U.S. and they're hiring for 55 different positions across their different operations. They're in the U.S., UK, and Australia. And I think it's a success case because they didn't just put up a paywall.
The U.S. business grew 22% last year.
Yeah. I mean, so there's still
$75 million business.
There's still growth. One thing I wanted to get your opinion on is Substack is taking a complete anti-AI stance. They've partnered with Panagram, which is some kind of AI cop, which I've heard is not very accurate. I know my sister told me that my nephew got dinged for turning in an AI paper, and he absolutely did not use AI to create the paper. At least she assures me he did not. But in any case, people love measurements. And so they are calling out cloud phishing, which is an interesting term that they're using. You're going to be able to scan Substack posts and see how much of them were AI created. This is just an enforcement mechanism. They're trying to shame their users into not publishing quote unquote AI flop.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good positioning. I mean, I don't think it's I think this kind of stuff is going to fade away because, like you said, using AI in some way, shape, or form is going to be inevitable. And I just think the way people are doing it right now often is incredibly awkward and ham-handed. It reminds me of when people first got cell phones and they would be on the train and they would call someone to say, "I'm on the train. I'm talking to you on the train." and it was really annoying. We'll adapt because this stuff is going to become.
I mean,
less
it seems
effective.
like a nice positioning idea. I think increasingly it's not going to be, was this generated by AI or was it generated by a human? But it's all kind of mixed together, where AI is like sampling, right? It's like the tool, you contribute, you put new ideas on top of other people's ideas. You use tools to help frame an argument. You use AI to structure what you're going to write. You don't like the way a sentence is flowing. You jam it into the machine. It helps you with your logic. So I think it's, the future is really more about augmentation. And I think there's going to be a lot of false positives where, like what happened to your nephew. But, it seems to me like if they want to be the kind of folksy, handcrafted social network, then this is a nice sentiment, I suppose.
Yeah, it fits with their brand for better or worse.
I mean, I like a lot of AI. I like a lot of AI content.
You love slop. I know that.
I like slop, and I think the algorithm sorts it out, right? If it wasn't in the algorithm, it's in there because people are watching it.
We got a listener question, Troy. I want to ask you. It is a little preamble. I'm going to read it. We see all these newsletters like news items, websites, Instagram pages, et cetera, that have turned aggregation into successful businesses. Why haven't we seen it with video? There's more of it than ever.
You don't need it.
But less curation.
First of all, video doesn't work in email, right? You have to click out. So it's a friction-filled delivery mechanism.
No, not an email, just a general aggregation.
I mean, people have done video aggregation in BuzzFeed articles forever, right? Like, here's this video and this video and this video. It doesn't work for the format. Not like, you're better off just using TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. And more importantly, the signals that come off of video in an algorithmic platform are myriad, right? So you have, how long did someone watch it? Where did they stop it? And how does it fit with their other interests before this? So your stream of algorithmic content on a place like YouTube, and you'll notice this as a user on Instagram or YouTube, it's incredibly accurate. So you don't need, the curation is happening in real time all the time. You don't need, John Ellis to tell you what video to watch, although the odd video is fine. But like curation in the same way that we take snippets of text and pop them into into an email, with video is just really different. Not only that, video is a self-contained item. You're not going to take bits of it like you do with text. Right? It's like, it's a thing. It's a timeline. It exists in its own totality. So I just don't think it parses or the same way as video. And I think that the algorithm makes the curation job kind of redundant. Thanks for the question.
Well, you're Scott Galloway. Can I lick the cookie really quickly at the end here? The Wall Street Journal.
You want to talk about Mondami?
No, I want to lick the cookie first. The Wall Street Journal had an in-depth story. Alex Bruel wrote it about publishers threatening to completely cut off Google altogether. I was not referenced whatsoever within the story. That's fine, Alex. That's no big deal. Mark Stenberg had done a similar story for Adweek. This got kicked off by an interview I did in Cannes with Mike Reed, the CEO of USA Today Co., who said, "Hey, we're thinking about cutting off Google altogether. Forget about the AI stuff. We're going to pull out a search because, this is too ridiculous how they won't split the crawler. It's okay. I don't need credit. I will take it on the podcast. That's okay." Is this a fool's errand, more importantly?
For you to do what? For what?
No, threatening to like cut off Google altogether.
Yeah, of course it is.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know why you're laughing. I answered your question. I would say
because it doesn't make very compelling content.
Okay, so what does it do for you? Break it down. What is it going to do for you if you're a major publisher and you cut off Google? How is it going to hurt Google? Is it going to force a policy change? It's going to hurt you.
It's a PR pressure campaign.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that you still want them to crawl your content. You're going to put pressure on them to divide content crawling and AI answering. I think that you want to have a seat at the table and you want to put that pressure on them. That seems to be working. apparently you can divide, search crawling and AI crawling in Europe. I think that, as a publisher, you're managing just a range of different distribution tactics. Google's going to be one of them. It used to be 70% of your mix. Now it's going to be 15%. And you kind of carry on. I don't think that Google owes you anything, but I do think that you can stop them from using your IP in their answers where they're benefiting solely from that. And I think you should exert your, any kind of pressure that you can in that equation. But in terms of, we're indexing your site to give you traffic, Google doesn't owe you anything. They can do what they want. They're a company. They're going to do what's in their interest, and you're going to do what's in yours. And I think if you can, put pressure on them in cases of outright IP theft, then you should. But like somehow pulling your content from the search index as a protest, I just don't think it'll work.
Yeah. Mike Reed is going to be at the TRB Audience Summit. John Roberts, PeopleLink Chief Innovation Officer, who I ran into at Cafe Cluny last night. He will also be speaking about AI licensing deals. If I could add that. Now, let's do good product.
Okay, well, this is more of a question than a good product.
Is it Linda? No.
No. I do think that maybe I can insert that first. We're making good progress on PVA nodes. I think it's useful to me as both a place to explore my interest in building kind of community media products and as a repository for all the things that we think about each week. So I like it. I think one of the things I'm playing with right now.
What functionality have you added? The skinning functionality is very exciting for me.
Stop it with the skins, please. The skin is just a tile in the background to add flair. I had a picture of Bob Dylan in there because I went to Bob Dylan yesterday or day before. You know who I saw at Bob Dylan? Emily Sundberg.
Oh yeah, who is she with?
She was with her dad and her godfather and her husband. Yeah, a bunch of us went. I went with 10 people, and Bob Dylan has tremendous. I think Bob Dylan's T-shirt should read, "Bob Dylan hates you." Bob Dylan has, he kind of reframes the artist audience dialectic. Like he didn't say one word, not "Hey New York" or "You're gonna love this one" or "I remember in 1965 when I was on this very Forest Hill stage with Joan Baez." Nothing, not a word. He wore a hoodie. He performed 14 songs and he left. No encore. Lights went on. I'm out of here. But he's been performing for.
This is like Alex when he was at Airbnb going to industry events.
Yeah, 70 years, 65 years he's been doing this. So he doesn't feel like he owes the audience.
Is he moving well? Is he moving? He
stands behind a keyboard. He's got a very capable band and he does his thing. He doesn't move. He just wears a hoodie with a hood up and plays the songs. Yeah. Sounded pretty good, actually. I want to talk about toaster ovens, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So
they're a big 1980s innovation, I feel like.
Yeah, I think faced with like small appliance creep in our house, I really wasn't part of this. I just said, no, don't do it. But like, I hate it. I hate it when we have like an air fryer on the counter and like a toaster and a blender. There's just too much shit, especially the air fryers. I hate air fryers.
Really?
And
you hate air fryers?
Yeah,
they were hot for a moment.
Yeah, and then Jillian said, I'm going to buy, so we have this separate part of the kitchen in our house, which is like a little alleyway that has like, I don't know, like a bar in it and dishwasher and cupboards and stuff. And she's like, I'm getting this new Breville oven, toaster oven. She threw the toaster away. And I'm like, what are you doing throwing the toaster? I want to toast my toast. Well, what are you doing? And she said, I don't want it anymore. I'm getting
I like an old school
thing.
Toaster.
I do too. We had a fine toaster. And she bought this Breville Smart Oven Air Fryer Pro. And it's massive. And it sits on the counter in the little alleyway. And it does it all. It does, like, you could cook a chicken in there, you can air fry, or you can toast. And it's got a very complex set of controls. It beeps. It's got lights in it. It's very like, it's basically an
Is there an
oven
app?
and an oven, an air fryer, and a toaster all in one. And, you know, Breville does the Breville thing where they try to make a kind of almost like a luxury appliance product, but not quite. It's like luxury for the upper middle class Americans. And so it's kind of thin steel and, you know, it feels a little cheap. But I'll get back to you on this because it's a big source of discussion in my home.
I have a Smeg oven that I don't understand any of the controls on. They have these inscrutable little icons that I don't know what they mean. And it's a real challenge. I just want to turn the oven on. And there's like,
Is it gas?
no,
No,
it's
we
electric.
have
Gas oven.
our fridges are in drawers here. That's cool.
That is cool.
Instead of like in the wall. So they're like underneath the sink. Like there's fridges in drawers. Kind of good.
Very good.
Anyway, that's the best product candidate for the week. The Breville Smart Oven Air Fryer Pro. I'll get back to you and we'll let you know if it was worth getting rid of all the other appliances and trading it.
And we are working, when I say we, I mean you, are working on a new innovation for pvanotes.com. Everyone should visit it, join our community around like recommendations, right? Like are we not ready to talk about that? The restaurant recommendations.
Oh, that part. That's a new feature. I'd like to do that. Yeah. I'm going to do that. So I think, so the genesis of this is whenever I go to a city, the best things happen when I ask someone who goes there a lot for like, where should I eat? Where should I go? What, museum should I go to? And so I love it when someone has a nice Google sheet of like, here's the places you need to go eat. Go eat in London or in Tokyo or whatever. And so I thought we should start assembling the best places to eat in, the cities that we know well. Don't you think?
I would love it.
Like, where would you tell someone who is coming to New York to go eat?
Oh God, I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm not like a restaurant guy. I'm not prepared for that.
Do you know where you'd tell them to stay?
Why would I stay in a hotel in New York City?
Well, you have an apartment.
Although, for a couple of years, I did stay in hotels here when we didn't live here. And it was a strange experience. New York City hotel rooms are horrific. They're miniature and unbelievably expensive. I would not recommend New York City hotel rooms to anyone.
Where do you tell? I'm going to Miami next week. Where should I stay in Miami?
You didn't tell me you're going to Miami.
No, let's just say hypothetically.
Again, I live there, so I don't actually know. I mean, you like, what was your place? Your place is a surf club, right? I don't know. I was at the Standard. Then that Raptive event was at the Standard. I think the Standard's a nice property. The rooms are kind of shitty, but they're just basic. I don't know. I'm not a big hotel guy either. Like I don't like hotels. I've stayed in a lot of hotels. I've spent a lot of time in hotels. I spent a lot of time in resorts because of the events that I've gone to. And I really don't like the hotel experience. I can't stand it in America. I find the service aspect to be just like suffocating. I don't want to say good morning to like a dozen people. Maybe that makes me grumpy or not, but like who wants that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're staying at the wrong hotels. I mean, I think a good hotel should know whether or not you want to be said good morning to.
I don't know. We used to go to the Montage in Deer Valley. That's like the top of the top tier, right? And the American service sort of approach there is you'd be like walking down I'd be walking down the hallway and a person who's working for the hotel would like pin themselves up against like the wall, like as I passed this wide stair. I'm like, this does not make me feel like this is ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? Like, let's just be normal people. Like, I think overall, when it comes to events or any of these things, maybe this is me. Make it like a normal interaction, Like, I don't want it to be this weird servile kind of thing or an artificial, quote unquote, networking event. Just make it like a normal dinner you want to go to, a normal like conversation or group you want to be part of. That's what I want. Organic, Troy.
Make it normal.
All right, I got to go to lunch.
All right, Brent.
Bye.
See ya. That's it for this episode of People versus Algorithms, where each week we uncover patterns shaping media, culture, and technology. Big thanks, as always, to our producer, Vanya Arsenov. She always makes us a little clearer and more understandable, and we appreciate her very, very much. If you're enjoying these conversations, we'd love for you to leave us a review. It helps us get the word out and keeps our community growing. Remember, you can find People vs. Algorithms on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and now on YouTube. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next week.